So, hi everyone. Thank you, Reclaim, so much for having us. We're super happy to be here today. I'm Charlie Edwards, co-director of the Open Lab at City Tech. City Tech is part of the City University of New York. And I'm also co-project director of CBOX OpenLab. And I'm excited to be here with a bunch of people from the CBOX OpenLab community to talk about how we're working together to build open ed tech and at the same time build connections and a supportive community of practice. We're going to start with a round of 2-minute lightning talks and then get into some conversation that hopefully will give you a sense of what it's like to be part of the community and perhaps encourage you to join us. And one thing I should mention before we start is that we're missing one key member of the community, Ed Beck from SUNY Oneonta, who many of you likely know. But he spoke yesterday about how they're using CBOX OpenLab. So please check that out if you didn't get to see it. And he should be here in the chat today. So more formally known as Commons in a Box OpenLab, CBOX OpenLab is free and open source software that enables anyone to create a commons for open learning and customize it to meet the needs of their local community. It's modeled on the original OpenLab at City Tech, which Jody will talk about in a moment, and it's powered by WordPress and BuddyPress. It was originally created through a partnership with the Commons in a Box team at the CUNY Graduate Center, and now there's ongoing development via a multi-institution collaboration. So it's designed to support communities and it's being created by a community. And if you go to cboxopenlab.org, you'll find our community hub, which is the meeting place for a small but growing and very enthusiastic group of people who've adopted it at CUNY, SUNY, University of New Haven, and elsewhere. And we know we're preaching to the choir here at Reclaim Open, but we do believe the enthusiasm for the project is a much needed bright spot in the current EdTech landscape and speaks to the need for community-built open alternatives to the closed proprietary products that can otherwise seem so inevitable. And now over to Jody.
Thanks, Charlie, and thanks for organizing us today and to Reclaim for having us. I'm Jody Rosen, a faculty member in the English department at City Tech and one of the City Tech Open Lab co-directors with a focus on pedagogy and community. When I started at City Tech in 2008, I really wished we had had something like the Open Lab. I used WordPress.com to share content with my students and have them respond to create a community within that course. But we didn't have the larger community of the college. We were just a few floating sites in the internet, and a group of faculty members came together in collaboration with staff, students, alumni, a cooperative provost, and launched the Open Lab in 2011. We saw that our numbers were quickly growing and are currently at nearly 49,000 members, plus countless others who use the site without being logged in, a testament to the value of working in the open, that the content is available to view and to comment on from anyone outside of the group who can have membership. When the Open Lab started, we had courses, projects, and clubs, and quickly grew to include portfolios, became home to our OER program, and to countless other projects and initiatives that really have become part of the life of the college. We wanted to create a space that was beautiful to work in, that valued experimentation, and that really would open up the life of the college, not just to silos within departments or programs, but to really help everyone see what was happening and learn from each other. We really are excited that other people came and said they wanted the Open Lab, and that was the start of CBOX Open Lab. So I'll hand it off now. Thanks.
I'm Mary Isbell, and I'm an associate professor of English at the University of New Haven. I have been at the university for 10 years now, but about 4 years after arriving, I learned about OpenLab. and thought it was a perfect solution to what I wanted to do with students, but didn't really know how to make happen. We have a learning management system. It was Blackboard at the time. It's now Canvas, but I wanted to create websites with students, and I tried all sorts of different things, but OpenLab really provided an opportunity to establish something that other faculty could use. They could create accounts without me needing to do anything for them. Students could create accounts to make portfolios or research projects with, projects associated with research labs or with their research that they were doing. And so I did this by myself. I'm an English professor. I'm not trained to do any kind of management of a system like this, but because the OpenLab team is so supportive, and because I was also simultaneously learning about Reclaim hosting, and I was able to start hosting OpenLab very inexpensively as we first tried it out. And then eventually, as I was able to show the university that it was growing, we moved into managed hosting. That has made it very easy for me to handle this on my own. And it's been fantastic. You can see on our homepage here the spotlighted project, which is our open pedagogy project. Right after I established OpenLab, we applied for funding to teach faculty about open pedagogy. And we had a grant from 2020 to 2023, and we introduced cohorts of faculty into open pedagogy, but also using OpenLab with those fellows. So you can see that we have courses, projects, and portfolios. We have another system that manages student groups and clubs on campus. So I eliminated that. That's, OpenLab is customizable in that way. So it's wonderful. And it's been fantastic. I have big dreams of how to grow the number of faculty and students who know about and are using this tool. And that comes from hearing about what folks are doing at CUNY and at other places. So I'm excited for the conversation.
Hello. I'm Jessie Rice Evans. I'm the OpenLab manager at CUNY School of Professional Studies in New York City. When considering building connections and making it easier for networks to stay connected to one another for CUNY SPS, that really speaks to us because the vast majority of our programs, certificate, undergraduate, and graduate level, are fully online and asynchronous. So while we don't use the OpenLab as an LMS, we have developed and are expanding our targeted support for student leaders, that is, elected executive board members of our very active chartered student organizations at CUNY SPS. So we've been working really closely with student services and the student life folks who directly support our students in the pursuit of their leadership and professional development goals. And on the OpenLab, we've really tried to embrace what our students are asking for. More flexibility in terms of connection, more places to connect outside of our kind of siloed LMS, where students would submit assignments. So our OpenLab has really been focused more on students building out community and sharing their work in a public digital space. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Lisa Brundage. I am Director of Academic Affairs at Macaulay Honors College, CUNY. I am really lucky to have come into this role over the past 2 decades after having a lot of experience working in various roles at the college, including in the Instructional Technology Fellowship from the CUNY Graduate Center, where I got to work with people like Jim Groom, Luke Walter, Lauren Klein, Karen Gregory, and in 2007 be part of our launch of Macaulay ePortfolios, which was a WordPress multi-user site and a predecessor of a lot of the open learning systems like the CUNY Academic Commons and OpenLab, where we were really allowing for students and teachers to be in control of the technology that they were using in the classroom. Something that I really like about being involved in this community is that we are all educators who value thinking about tech as something that we use for creation rather than something that we use for management. Now, at the start of this year, we were really thinking about how do we kind of go to the next step based on our ePortfolio system, which at this point is almost 20 years old. It had thousands of users and thousands of sites that were no longer active or being maintained. And we decided that we wanted to give people a chance to start on a fresh platform that would give them even more access to working with people, working in concert with other teaching and learning activities. And we wanted to be part of this community in a more robust way. And so we chose OpenLab. And something that I really value about being part of this is that we are all part of teaching and learning together, that we are a community that values and models our pedagogy for each other and also for our students. And I want to thank everybody here for being part of this journey, for welcoming us so warmly and giving us the opportunity to be lifelong learners and creators through technology.
Hello, my name is Chris Stein. I'm a professor of media arts and technology at the Borough of Manhattan Community College, also known as BMCC, and we're part of the CUNY system. We started our Open Lab in 2019, and we're fortunate to really get it up and running before the pandemic happened. And since then, it's really grown. We have a team of about 5 people. None of us are full-time on the Open Lab, but we all work on it part-time. And we've had also, from time to time, 2 or 3 other people supporting the Open Lab. We now have about 10,000, almost 11,000 members who've joined the Open Lab at one time or another. We use it across courses where we have a few hundred courses on it. Student portfolios as well, getting close to 2,000 there. And then resources like faculty professional development, academic departments, open educational resources and things like that. Also, student support services are using it to get information out there. And then things like student showcases, where we can showcase student work. The Open Lab, I was drawn to it and to help start it partly because of my work on the CUNY Academic Commons, and then seeing what City Tech had done with their Open Lab. And that was really a great resource for us in support as we started the BMCC Open Lab. And now really happy to be part of bringing CBOX out there to people.
So the first question to everyone, what benefits have we seen from working together as a community of Open Labs? Mary, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Yeah. As I mentioned, I am doing this alone at my university. And so the first huge benefit was that everyone who'd built Open Lab at CUNY at the various campuses was able to share decisions they'd made about how they were setting things up for the community. So I quickly ran into which themes should I make available and which plugins should I make available? Word to the wise, until you're ready to support Elementor, don't make that available to everyone on your site. So I was learning kind of by making mistakes and realizing that I could reach out and say, what do you all do? How do you manage this? And similarly, on the issue of help pages, at first I didn't know how to build out help structure, but because this is all built around my interest in open pedagogy and openly licensed things, the help pages that were built for Open Lab were available to be kind of modified and used for ours. And so I wound up working with Bree Zuckerman and Arto Artinian to sort of had a little bit of money to sort of pay them to be contractors to work to design ours, because I just didn't have the bandwidth or the time to do that. So the community also helped me find people who could do little bits of work that would help ours become a little stronger.
Awesome.
Yeah. I would echo a lot of that. We were coming into Open Lab with a lot of WordPress experience, but in a slightly different way. So there are things that are really specific to Open Lab that this community has been really helpful on helping us troubleshoot and tackle and think about how we want to position this like within the CUNY ecosystem. So I really think about the theme of rewilding, and we are able to take things that other people have done and kind of, if you know, like how plant ecosystems work, there's things that are planted and there's things that are volunteer that
that are kind of deposited by various things that are present within nature. And I think that this is actually a great theme for like what we're doing, since we have things that are kind of our, established parts of what we are growing, and then it's allowed to fan out from there. And that in a time when we really are being pushed into very locked down proprietary systems, that we still represent something that is in some ways wild and free and wonderful in terms of what we can do with it. And I think that that's not possible without a community. You can't just plop a plant down and expect it to thrive. And so I think, we've got like the sunlight and the water and the soil here, and that we really can do something wonderful with it.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of have a unique take on this because before I moved into my role at CUNY SPS as the Open Lab manager and like primary Open Lab person, all things Open Lab person, I worked for several years at the City Tech Open Lab as well. So I was able to kind of not only I already kind of knew folks and was connected to folks, but it really helped me kind of, there's so much that is unknown when you're kind of setting up the new space and being at a new college and trying to figure out like how things work at the specific college. Every CUNY is slightly different. But just like having the experience of having collaborated with folks at City Tech, with folks at BMCC in the past, and elsewhere, it is less of a, I guess you feel less, well, I'll speak for myself and say I felt a little bit less anxiety, knowing that there are these people who've already thought about some of these questions and ways of connecting with folks that offer a little bit more flexibility and creativity than some of the more rigid structures allow.
I would say working with folks who are starting up their open labs and seeing the great things that are happening on them really inspired us at City Tech to, kind of give us a fresh view of the things that we're growing and priorities that we had. So I think that was really helpful to hear, even just like courses, projects, clubs, portfolios, like how you're imagining those and calling them different things and really organizing your community in different ways. That was really helpful for us to see. I think on the other part of it coming from City Tech, it's like not everyone understands how awesome this thing is that we have at City Tech. And I think seeing it in other places is a testament to what we as a community were able to do and that other people wanted as well. So I think that's really valuable to bring that back home to us.
Yes, I completely agree. And, the people is one of the reasons and already have been part of the academic commons community and knowing people at City Tech why I joined. And one of the other reasons that we wanted to use the Open Lab is that you can build on it. And that's one of the things that we were looking at. And early on, we realized, it comes with the templates to let you determine what's going to be a project or a community, but then we wanted to have some more options for people who might have different types. And so worked on a template chooser that we're then able to help bring back to the CBOX community as well. And, these kind of development projects that we can do something that we're interested in, but then share it back with everyone, I think is another big feature of it. And right now, there's a single sign-on project that's actually multi-campus, both at CUNY and SUNY, that we're working in to help make single sign-on integration easier for everyone on CBOX.
Yeah, that's great. I think one of the things is this idea of cross-pollinating now across the different campuses, different installations, and which is so cool. And that we're in a way we're really pivoting now, in all kinds of ways. From it used to be that we were, especially in thinking about it in development, but we, at City Tech, we built the original Open Lab and then released it publicly. And now it's really changing so that, you know, the community is really weighing in all of these different ways, both on the praxis and then development. And that is just so cool to see, because it's really, you know, magnifying the effect, I think, which is it's super exciting. So if we wanted to just think a bit more about the future, what that might hold. Mary was mentioning, you said you had some big dreams, and so, you know, just maybe we were thinking we could just take a few minutes to kind of look ahead and you know, think about what the future might hold for the community. Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. I have always been inspired by the way there's a structure for helping new people learn about OpenLab on the various CUNY campuses that I regularly look at your OpenLabs and see what you're doing. And so, it has been a sort of thing that I tried to get established, and then I didn't do a whole lot. Well, the grant was one way that we introduced new people. But what's starting to happen now is that people are finding it and saying, wait, I can do what with this? And they're getting really excited about it. And at the same time, I can tell that a lot of faculty aren't WordPress users. They're not comfortable teaching with WordPress. And so something I'm dreaming up is tying a course that I teach, which is writing for digital environments, to potentially an opportunity for students to work as sort of support people for faculty who want to incorporate WordPress, right? So this class would be kind of a prerequisite for a position for students. And then they would become, I don't know what the word would be, but kind of WordPress experts, because WordPress is now what is behind our university website. So more and more people on campus are recognizing that WordPress, that back end, students becoming familiar with that will be really helpful for them as a skill, but also the people skills of just sort of helping faculty and students get comfortable with something, I think will be really helpful. We also have a makerspace at our university, and the makerspace director was just blown away the other day when he was like, I can just make our own website here. I don't have to go through the university to change the website. And I was like, no, I mean, he's going to be making tutorials and things on his own OpenLab website so that it can update regularly, and all of his TAs at the makerspace can contribute to it. So I see growth coming from those things.
And for us, I think I said in my introduction that we just launched OpenLab. So we rolled it out for the start of fall 2025. Right now we have about 700 users. We included this in our freshman orientation this year. We admit a cohort of 520 students for reference. So we got almost all of our first years and quite a bit of our second and some beyond enrolled, but we want to keep on growing enrollment. We also moved quite a few projects from our ePortfolio system over to OpenLab. And so I think it's been very beneficial to have a more visible structure for what people are able to see about who runs it, kind of like continuity and longevity of some of these sites, which is something that OpenLab allows us to do with a lot more ease than our ePortfolio system did. But I think that you know, the growing visibility has really led for some greater interest in what we're doing with it. So we started on our ePortfolio system a food atlas, where students in our Seminar 2 course were building out an interactive map and information about different foodways across New York City. And we are going to be reestablishing our study abroad map that's going to be similar, where students are kind of talking about their study abroad experiences, which is something we had been doing and hadn't had time to maintain for a little while. But making what our students do and what our faculty do really visible to each other, because another thing that I don't think I said yet is that Macaulay operates across 8 different campuses in addition to our own. So I'm coordinating faculty and students who are essentially in 9 different places. And so giving them models for our core curriculum and also for the common experiences that our students share in a way that's highly visible is really, really useful. And something community-wise that we're picking up on is that we are going to be building out our undergraduate research archive based on what they're doing at SUNY Oneonta, which is a really great model if nobody's seen that. So we are excited about that. And I want to say once again how wonderful it is to be part of a community that is really modeling care for faculty and for students students and opportunities to be expressive. I know that Jesse, you had said that, you know, being part of this like relieved anxiety, and I feel like for me it does too, even though we had been using a similar system for so long. It feels really good to not be alone and to be here with everyone.
Yeah, a couple things resonated from what Mary and Lisa have said so far. I was just talking to my boss about this because we've been doing a lot of kind of group workshops and trainings for OpenLab users, but I find that the one-on-one time is so valuable with people. For like when you can really hear them out about what they are thinking and like where they're frustrated, the like I can make my own website moment, I could just do that myself moment, where like it dawns on them that they have some power here and we can make something, is really powerful and a cool human moment that I really like about doing this work. And can happen with all kinds of different users. I think something that comes up for us a lot as PS is similar to what Lisa mentioned, like people are all over the place, 9 different campuses. A lot of our students don't live in New York City, don't live in the United States, and can be on like wildly different time zone schedules. So we offer a lot of engagement online, but a lot of it is still tied to like Eastern Standard Time. And something that I really want to be thoughtful about moving forward is how to include all the people who can't come to the synchronous events, because 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is like 2 in the morning their time. And how to make room for them and make sure that there's some kind of space where they can still engage with one another without requiring everybody to be on New York City time. So yeah, thinking a lot about this. Thank you guys.
I'm so glad you were talking about support also, because I think that's one of the big things I'm really excited about, to have a community of OpenLab teams that we can talk about support, and my vision is that we could collaborate on support, even if we're running it, you know, in our local situations, but that we could do some of that planning together, that we could do more support creation together, think about different ways of supporting the people in our communities, right? Like thinking about time zones, thinking about just like what are different ways of engagement to provide support. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and you know, even just now listening to everybody do things, you know, one of the things I'm most excited about is just having other instances and people doing things to model off of. Sometimes it's to help out people at the local college. Like if they're not doing something, it's hard to sometimes explain to someone like, here's a thing that you could do, but it's much easier to point to, hey, look, here's what they're doing at, you know, SPS or University of New Haven or Macaulay, you know, and it's a nice example for them to see and do. And then also gives me ideas. I'm like, oh, well, you know, something like that. We could, you know, this way that someone's using it, you can do that. And so I'm really, you know, looking forward to that, to continuing to like have more and more examples to build off of and get inspiration from.
It's so great just having this conversation here. It's just, you know, so exciting to think about the almost kind of limitless possibilities that there are to build on this community and move forward. So I think we'll probably leave it there, but hopefully we'll be interacting with you all in the chat, and excited to see the rest of the conference. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.